This video will demonstrate how to grade assignments directly in Google Forms. To get started, we're going to head on over to a Google Forms assignment I've already created. So we're here inside Google Forms, and I just went ahead and made a little quiz, but you can grade any type of assignment. It doesn't have to be a quiz in Google Forms. So let's go ahead and take a look at the questions first. I went ahead and put a question in for student contact information. So I'm asking for their class period, their last name, and their first name. In an elementary class, obviously we could take out the class period, just have last name, first name. I have a couple of multiple choice questions and then a couple of expanded response questions. So the first thing I'm going to do is in the top right corner of the screen, I'm going to click the gear to get to the form settings. And then I'm going to go ahead and click collect email addresses, because I want to make sure that I get the email address from all my students. And you notice there's also a checkbox now to collect response receipts. I want to go ahead and uncheck that, because I don't want the kids, whether this is a quiz or a homework assignment, to be able to get a copy of their answers emailed to them when they finish. And now we're going to head all the way over to quizzes. And I'm going to go ahead and click make this a quiz. And then you see we have a couple other options pop up. I'm going to go ahead and go down to the release grade section. And you have two options. The first is to release grades immediately after a student submits. So that would mean as soon as a kid hits submit, they can see their score, they can see what they got wrong, and potentially correct answers. The other option here is to release the grades later after manual review. I always check this one. And then at the bottom, we have what the respondents can see. They can see the questions they missed, the correct answers, and the point values. And I typically leave all of those checked, but that's totally up to the individual teacher. Then I'll hit save. So now, looking at this first question, I'll click on this one, which item did Apple not add to the MacBook Pro? I'll click on that question, and then at the bottom, I'm going to click answer key. So I have a couple things I can do here. First, I can give this a point value. So I just moused up to 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the correct answer. The other thing I can do here is add answer feedback. So I'll click add answer feedback, and you can give feedback for incorrect answers or correct answers. The great thing about the feedback for incorrect answers is you can also attach a link for reteaching. So I'll go ahead and type a quick message and add a link. Once I type my message, I'll go ahead and hit this link button, and then I'll be able to grab a link and paste it right here. So I'll show you what that looks like. I just grabbed a link, and I can choose to display either the link or some text, and then I'll hit add and save. So if a student gets that question wrong, they'll be directed to take a look at that link. And we can do the same thing for this other multiple choice question. But now, let's go ahead and take a look at the expanded response question. So I'll click on the question and click answer key. Now I'll go ahead and give it a point value. You'll notice there's no place to select the correct answer. We'll take a look at how to grade those expanded response questions in just a minute. Now I have added the rest of the answer key and submitted a few responses. So let's take a look at what the teacher will see and how they'll grade this assignment. So first we'll look up at the top of the screen and we see the responses section. We see there have been 3 responses. I'll go ahead and click on responses and we can see a few things. First we see this insights chart, the average score, the median score, and the range. We see the scores for each person who's taken the quiz. Now please keep in mind that these only reflect the objective questions so far. This only reflects the multiple choice question. So now, to grade those individual constructed responses, I'm going to scroll back up to the top and click on the white word individual. So here I'll be able to take a look at each individual user's responses. And I'll be able to come in here and look at these 2 constructed responses and give them a grade. So as I look at this first one, I'll give this one a 10 out of 10. and I can type individual feedback that person will see. And then I can grade this other one, and I'm grading it just by clicking in the column with the blank grade, and I'm typing the numbers. When I finish grading the assignment for this student, I'll click the Save button at the bottom of the screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next student by hitting this Next Response. As I scroll through this student's response, I can see that they got this first item wrong and the second item correct. And now I'll go ahead and grade the constructed response. I'll give this student partial credit, and again I can leave individual feedback by clicking the button that says Add Individual Feedback. And I can do the same thing for the next item. I'll hit Save when finished, and I'll grade that third one exactly the same. Now that I've finished grading those individual constructed response questions, I'm back at the summary of responses. And I can take a look at how all my students did across the board with all 30 points taken into consideration. A neat little trick here is that I can actually click on the student name and it will take me directly to their individual responses. Now that I've graded all of these assignments, I want to go ahead and release the scores back to the students. I'll come to the section that says Scores, and I'll click the button that says Release Scores. Once clicking Release Scores, I'll see the email addresses of the students that are going to get their scores back, and I can even type an optional message right here. Then I'll go ahead and hit Send Emails and Release, and we'll take a look at what one of those emails looks like. So I went ahead and opened up one of those emails, and I want you to notice first that the email is coming from the teacher's email address, so the student will be able to respond to it. And second, in the email, we see the message that the teacher typed, and we see the student's score. Then we have the View button. Once the student clicks View, they'll be able to come over here, and they see the question they got wrong. And in this particular case, I opted to show the correct answer. We also see the answer feedback. The next question they got correct, and we see the feedback left. Then on those two expanded response questions, notice they're both marked wrong, but the partial credit the student received is noted to the right. We also see the individual feedback on each of those questions. As you can see, Google has done a really nice job of making it easy to grade assignments in the new Google Forms. I encourage educators to give this a try instead of using other methods they have previously used to digitally grade assignments. This has been a brief demonstration on how to grade assignments in Google Forms.